Please be seated. When I was younger, I always knew Canada was the country I wanted to end up living in. I always knew that Canada was going to be called home at one point in my life, but what I didn't know was how big an impact the journey to Canada was going to have on me. Growing up in the Middle East, I was exposed to cultures from around the world while also being able to experience my own. For those of you asking how it is possible to experience the cultures of different countries within one region, I'd like to explain to you how my family ended up there. My dad works in retail, and like many others in his line of work, he had to move to Saudi Arabia when he got his job. The allure of tax-free incomes brings in expats from all backgrounds, and growing up around these expats is what helped to open my eyes to the people around me and the issues which affect others in different parts of the world. Now, my journey started in Saudi Arabia. I was born in a city called Jeddah on June 4th, 1997, and I lived there for 12 years. During my 12 years in Jeddah, I attended a private international school with students from over 60 countries. During my time at this school, I learned multiple life lessons. Firstly, to always stay true to yourself. Secondly, to respect others for who they are. And lastly, to always explore and try to experience new things. Growing up, I wasn't exactly popular. I was always picked last on sports teams, and I only had a handful of friends. Now, I'm not here to tell you a sob story and make you feel sorry for me, but instead, I'm going to tell you what I learned from these experiences and how they shaped me into the person I am today. Like I said earlier, it was during this time that I learned an important life lesson: to always stay true to myself. I used to wish that I could be like the cool kids, because let's face it, they just seem to fit in. But what I've learned over the last few years is that if you just be yourself, you'll always find a way to fit in. It may not be with the cool kids, but instead with a group of people who truly like you for who you are. And what's better than being comfortable enough to be yourself around the people closest to you without the fear of being judged? If you stay true to yourself and live your life for you, with due time you will find people who appreciate you for you, and you will fit in. Just like you should stay true to yourself, others may stay true to themselves too. Another life lesson I learned growing up in an international community is that no matter how different someone is to you, you must respect them for who they are. You don't know their story, you don't know what they've been through. They might like different things to you, and that's fine. As long as they are happy being themselves, you should be happy for them. When I lived in Saudi Arabia, I never left my bubble. You can imagine my surprise when I came to visit family in Canada and my cousins were out playing basketball in the streets. I joined in even though it was completely different to what I was used to, and we always had a great time. Different cultures vary. What may be normal in one could be unheard of in another. This doesn't mean that if someone does something different to you, they are wrong or should be looked down on. Instead, they should be encouraged and accepted for being who they are, because everyone is different and everyone deserves to be accepted, regardless how different they are to you. For those of you who have lived in Saudi Arabia before, you would know that it's like living in a bubble. I lived in a gated compound away from the rest of the country, went to school in a school attached to the compound, and rarely left the 24-acre plot of land that I called home. It's living in such a confined area that taught me to always explore. Growing up, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to travel the world with my family. My parents always tried to push my brother and I to experience as much as possible, and they did this by giving us the opportunity to visit countries around the world, from Spain to Malaysia to Jordan to Canada. We were always pushed to try the local food, even though that usually ended in arguments in restaurants. My brother and I are kind of picky eaters. He's starting to get better, me not so much. Generally, anything green doesn't go, unless it's candy. And we always made an effort to explore the city, going from the countryside to downtown, and sometimes even driving a couple hours to see cities on the outskirts. One of the many things I'm most thankful for is the opportunity my parents gave me to explore. I can truly say that without having been to all the places I have with my family, I wouldn't be the same person I am today, as it allowed me to open my eyes to the world around me and not just think about me and my bubble back home. It allowed me to always make sure that when meeting someone new or when moving from a country to another, that I'm respectful of their differences. I'm not saying you have to travel in order to explore. You can start by exploring the campus. Go on a walk. Explore Oakville. Visit downtown. Go to the drive-in. Maybe even go bowling. Explore Toronto. Go to a Jays game. And even explore Canada. Go to Montreal, Vancouver, or Ottawa. Explore and your eyes will be open to new things. Things you couldn't have imagined you'd see if you'd stayed where you are. When I was 12, my dad got a job in Dubai. Halfway through the school year, we packed our bags and got on a plane to start the next part of our journey. In Dubai, we lived in a nice villa by a golf course and were no longer in our little bubble. I also attended an international school there and used all the life lessons I learned previously in order to make a group of friends that I still talk to this day. These friends taught me to explore my passions and to be comfortable being myself. Some of you may know that in my spare time I play a little guitar and sometimes sing. My quad mates definitely know that I'm a professional recording artist in the shower. I first picked up a guitar in Dubai, and after a month of struggling, I quit. A year later, one of my friends picked up his guitar and told me to play. From then on, every week I would go to his house and we would record covers of songs while he played the piano and we both sang. He taught me to appreciate music, and since then, it has become a major part of my life, whether that be in the shower, playing music with my family and friends, or on the stage with Appleby Rocks. Last year, my journey to Canada was completed when my mom, brother, and I moved here. My brother and I started attending Appleby College, and my dad stayed in Dubai. My dad now lives where our journey first began, in Saudi Arabia. He stayed in the Middle East to support our family, and in doing so, taught me some of the greatest life lessons I could have ever learned. Family comes first, and in order to achieve a greater goal, sometimes you must sacrifice something. Family has always been important to me, however, through my journey, I sometimes let them slip behind. My parents sacrificed their stable lives in the Middle East together in order to give my brother and I an Appleby education, even though it meant that they would be living separately. They didn't know how long it would last, and to this day, they still don't. But they sacrificed everything for my brother and I, teaching us that family comes first, and for that, I am grateful. Now that I'm here, though, my journey hasn't ended yet. Instead, my journey just has a new chapter. I still have my whole life ahead of me, as do you. Look at your next obstacle as your next chapter, whether that be moving to a new country or writing that test next week. Everyone, I urge you to strive for greatness. Set high standards for yourself and do everything you can to surpass them. Senior twos, we only have a couple months left at Appleby, but we have the rest of our lives ahead of us. Don't look at graduation as a sad day. Instead, look at it as the start to the next part of your journey. A journey where you can learn more about yourself and do great things. Now will you please rise and join me in singing verses 1 and 4 of hymn 659.